followed by something. This is what we discussed in last session. And today we will go for the another important keyword I will introduce, and I'll go for programmer defined exceptions will go. So types of exceptions once you see, and we'll see the example part of it. Types of exceptions, predefined and then programmer defined. So today we are entering into a big discussion of development of, very soon we will go for the example part, development of programmer or user or custom defined exceptions. Custom defined exceptions. This is what we are going to discuss. Custom defined exceptions. We are going to discuss that. Now, so what do you mean by this programmer defined exceptions? So now coming to the point of it, development of programmer or custom defined exceptions. First of all, what is the programmer defined exceptions, which we already discussed it. Already you know, students, programmer defined exceptions are those which are developed by programmers and they are available in Python project, used by other programmers of the same project for dealing with common problems. So this I will carry, students. I'll carry forward. This point I will carry forward, and I'll be discussing here what are the common problems which are occurring. That also I want to get it, so that we made it ready in the last part of it. Some of the common problems are attempting to enter invalid PIN in ATM based applications. What do you mean by that? When we are trying to enter something wrong PIN numbers we are entering, we are going to get it what? We are going to get it what? Come on, fast. Will it be processed or stopped? So it will be stopped processing it. So it is going to give you a kind of what? It is going to give you, it stops the program execution and comes out of it and it gives the message. To stop it abnormally, to come out of it and generate the message, what is required? Exception class is required. Already explained. If you still maintaining silence, it's a problem. Already explained. Exception class is required. Such exception class was not there in Python software. This was already explained, students. Such type of things are not there in the Python software. So what we need? We need to develop our own class. So next, attempting to enter invalid username and password. Attempting to enter invalid username and password. Also called what? Wrong input. Wrong input is called exception. Exception need to create object. That object was not there in. To create an object, we need a class. That class was not there in Python software. So definitely we need to create it. Such class is known as what? Programmer or user defined exception we can call. Same, any type of problem is coming. In general, any problem occurs, we need to create an object of it. Such object require what? Exception class, which was not there in. So that's why we need to develop it. Some of them I will be taking it. So here I am entering. Some of the common problems are attempting to enter this one require what? Exception class. Once again I am repeating because this is an important today. Exception class. Such exception class was not there in Python software. We need to develop. That's why they named it as what? Programmer defined exceptions we can call. Programmer defined exceptions we can call. So we will develop it. We'll develop one class. What is the class I am decided to develop? PIN error. For example, PIN error. Attempting to enter invalid username and password. Require an exception class. Require an exception class. So that is known as what? Login error. Login error. Some name I am giving it. Next time attempting to enter invalid amount from an account. So there also we require to enter in sufficient fund error. Insufficient fund error. It is also called what? One more type of exception class I want to develop. Like that, for every type of problem, we need one object to create it. Such object is not there in Python software. Such class related object is not there in Python software. We need to develop such type of class by ourselves. That's why they named as what? Programmer defined exception classes. So how to develop it? Now I'm going for steps. I am going to say, what are the steps which we need for development of this? I'm going to discuss here. What are the steps for development of these exceptions? I'm going to discuss. So step number 1, I'm going to discuss. Step number 2 and step number 3. Very simple, students. I just want to go for it. Step number 1, step number 2, step number 3, I want to discuss. So what are those steps? I just want to discuss here. So let us start with the steps for development of programmer defined exceptions here. Very, very easy. Let's watch this carefully. Now I'm going to discuss about steps for development of programmer defined exceptions. So how to develop it? So come in. So coming to the point of it, I told you already was, if you come late, please don't come, I said. Again, you repeat the same thing. Sit there only. Sit there only. Don't come. Late, don't come. Don't try to violate my rules. I'm feeling so inconvenient. So inconvenient. Already chairs are there. Sit there only. Don't come like that. Sit along with everybody. Now I will go for step number 1, step number 2, step number 3. What is the first step? To understand this type of discussion, we require to write one small example. Let me go to the point. So here, coming to the point back, here I'm going to take up what we need to understand those steps. One is called a class and one more is called inheritance. You need to understand. Right? This kind of small awareness is required. And actually this will come in whoops very shortly that we are going to discuss. Right now, don't worry about this class and inheritance, students, but I'll try to tell you this. At this moment, we need this. So if I don't tell this exception development, I need not to tell you about that. But without developing this, when we move forward, it's not correct. So we need to develop this kind of thing. We require a small awareness called what? Class and object. And before that, a small diagram I would like to write it. So I'm writing here exception handling, hierarchy chart. Hierarchy chart we are going to show you. Exception handling hierarchy chart I'm going to give you. So this is also one important, students. Now I'm going to give you, just to try to follow. You tell me, students, what are the various exceptions which you learned here? What are the various exception classes you know? Start with this. 0, division, error. Come on. Like that you go on telling that. What error? Value error. Online students, try to answer it. Value error. Next is called what? Type error. Index error. Index error. Next is called what? Module not found error. Module not found error. Attribute error. I'll go on writing attribute error. Key error. I'll write attribute error, and next is called what you know? Key error. Key error. Next is called what? Name error. Name error. Next is called what you know? Syntax error. Syntax error. And next is called what you know? Unbound local error. Unbound local error. Next is called what? Runtime error. Who said runtime error? Is it there? So these are all called what? At present we know these many number of errors. At present we know these many number of errors. Attribute error, all sorts of errors are written. In further, you'll be getting some more types of errors. In regular expressions, we are going to see some more types of errors, etc. You take it. These are all comes under what? If you want, I can write it some more errors which you don't know. One is called what? OS error. OS error, which I'm going to tell you in where. OS module, I am going to tell you, students. Right now, don't worry. Next, I'm going to tell you IO error. IO error, I'm going to tell you. Next, I'm going to tell you file exist error. File exists error, which I'm going to tell you, students. Next is called a file not found error. File not found error. See how many types of errors are there. If you say error, that is called error. And the next is called what? Database error. So many errors are there. Database error, space is not there. So these many number of errors are there. These are all called what? Come on, try to answer my question. These are all called what? Exception. Very good. Exception classes, they are called. All these things are called what? Exception classes. Is it you developed? Already developed? Right. These are called online students. Predefined. Which classes? Yes. Exception classes. I am writing exception classes. Something I will write in the middle of it. Something I will write here. In this place, something I will write it. In this place, something I will write it. After a few minutes, I'll write something over there. Now, predefined exception classes, I'll write something over there. Right now, don't worry about it. All these classes are inherited from. I'm using the word called what? Inherited from. Inherited from. These are all the classes developed by what? PSF developers under the guidance of ROSA. These classes are subclasses of exception. Important today. Exception. Also called as what? Base exception we can call. Base exception we can call. What is this base exception? I'm going to give you the clarity on this area. These kind of things are, this class is called what? Superclass for all types of, superclass for all types of what? Exceptions. Superclass for all types of exceptions. Are you able to follow? Superclass for all types of exceptions. Did you understand this point? Right. What do you mean by superclass, subclass and everything? I'll be going for giving some awareness for you. Now I'll come back to the diagram once again. See students, in our class, this is a scenario of it. It's a teacher. Students in online, carefully follow. Teacher is here and then student is here. Teacher is here, student is here. What is going on between student and teacher? Knowledge exchanging is going on, right or not? This is called what? One sort of inheritance we can feel. We can feel it as one sort of inheritance we can feel. So if you observe it carefully, this is called what? One type of class. Feel it as a class. Class number 1. This is called class number 2. Class number 2, this is called. Class number 2, this is called. Class number 2. What is class number 1 and class number 2? Are called something like what? In OOPS, we are going to come across what? Classes concept is going to come across. Okay. And corresponding to this, how do you write the code here in our Python? To define a class, to define a function, we will use which keyword? DEF. To define any type of lambda function, we will use what? Lambda. Sit properly. What is that way of sitting? That shouldn't only. Yourself. White t-shirt. Now, so sitting like that is not good now. Sit properly. Right. Lambda is a keyword, right? DEF is a keyword. To define a class, we will use which keyword? Class, we will use it. Don't worry about the class. I'm going to discuss most about OOPS features. It's a very big discussion. Within 1 week or few days within that, we are going to start a very good concept about OOPS. So OOPS is a big topic. Under that, a lot of discussion we are going to make it. Around 10 days we are discussing. The index itself we will see. Index itself will see so many points are there. You see in any website or anything, this nothing is going to be there. And this OOPS is very important in AI level of implementations. Python with AI, there we are going to use it. And what about a class? If you look into the class, there is a syntax for class. You just see the syntax. Syntax for defining a class. There is a very big syntax is there. Right now, don't worry about it. Class name. So much of discussion will be there in that. Right now, I'm not talking about it. Today, I'm just taking on spot. So teacher is called what? Class. Student is called what? Also class. Now I'm taking class name. What is the class name? Teacher. Right now, don't worry about it, right? Just a pause there. Next, I'm writing one more type of class. What is the next class I'm taking? Here I'm writing next class I will take it. So coming to back, I'll take it here. Coming to back, here I am writing class teacher. I'll write the code for that. Class teacher. Don't worry about that, what I'm writing. Pass. And a student is getting the knowledge from teacher. Student is getting the knowledge from teacher. What is happening because of that? Now I am writing class student. If I write like that, they are going to be called as what? Separate. It is separate. There is no relation between teacher and student. What we do is student of, I am writing here teacher. I am just writing teacher. What is the meaning of writing class, student, teacher and everything? Teacher class properties are coming to where? Student. So teacher is called which class? Base class. Also called as a super class or a parent class. And the student is called a derived class, which is opposite to that. Subclass or child class we can call. Are you able to follow? Fine. Why inheritance is required and all those things? Just to get something from one class to another class, we'll go for inheritance. More about the inheritance, I will go for discussing students. Right now, don't worry. And one more illustration I will give you. So one more type of discussion I will give you. Let us take this scenario. Here I am writing one more kind of thing. You take your parent and you take it, child. So in normal life level inheritance is also there. Every parent will give their properties to their children. It is called a parent. And then children. Child. I am writing child. So what is happening? Every parent is giving the properties to what? Child. So what it indicates now? What do you mean by that? What is the parent in our Python class? What is the child in the Python class? How do you write the code for that? Class, parent. Parent is having the properties, the required information. Some information is present. We never bother about that at present. We'll bother about very soon. I will come to that. Now I'll write what here? Class. What is that? Child is developing now. To develop the child activities, you require the support from where? Parent. I will write here parent. I'll write here pass. What is child is here? Child is called what? Subclass. And parent is called what? Superclass. All the properties of parent are coming to where? Child. That means we are just developing our own class from where? Parent. So where is the total information is present with? Parent. Getting into where? Child. Similarly, today you understand that wording and what is exception or base exception. This is a root for development of any exception. You want to develop your own exception. What should I do? Take your own class and that has to get it inherit from where? Exception. How they written it? How zero division error is written? Can you tell me? And zero division error, value error, these are all comes under what classes? Subclasses of what? Exception. It is a parent class. From there, inheritance is continued in these classes. So I'm going to write it. Predefined. What can I write it? Come on. Exception subclasses. Predefined exception subclasses. Are you able to get my point? predefined exception subclasses. These are all called predefined exception subclasses. So my point of time is, I want to develop zero division error or value error, type error or something. How do you develop it? I'll just write a small segment here. A small segment I will write it, or instead of that, I'll be taking this exception subclasses. I'll be pasting here. So here I am writing subclasses here. Now, how do you write your own class? How do you write your own exception? Here, class division error, how they defined it. Now I am writing here. Tell me, how do you define class zero division error? Zero division error, important today. Division error of what? Exception or base exception also you can say. Need not write anything. You are developing your own exception. That is the main agenda today. So what is the zero division error? Is the specific exception. When they are developing, they are taking from where? Exception. How they defined value error? Class value error of what? Right, base exception or exception. Anything you can take it. Anything you can take it, students. Because exception and base exception are available in 3.8, 3.9. Like that, they introduce some new class called what? Exception. Rather than writing a bigger one. Any one of it, you can take it. Today, I want to develop my own exception. To develop our own exception, what to do? To develop our own exception. Easy. To develop our own exception. What should I do? Come on, expect it. To develop our own exception, what to do? Now I am going to write it. Tell me, class. What is the class name I am taking? I will take it as, to develop our own exception, pin error. Pin error is our own exception, right? Zero division error is our own predefined exception. They written exception. Pin error of what I am writing? Exception I am writing. I will say what here? Pass. I hope you are understanding this. Exception is called what? Parent class. And getting into where? All the exception handling qualities are coming to the pin error. Our class also will become exception class like these classes. Now I will write it one more type of class. Class what now? Login error. Login error. I can write what here, base exception. Base exception I will write it. Base exception I can write it. So I am going to say overall picture is very simple. Overall picture is very simple. Login error. And see these students, how many steps are there? Very, very simple. What is the first one? What is the first one here? Take your own class. Take your own class. What is the class name here? Pin error. Second one is inherit from where? Exception. Inherit from which class? Exception class. 2 steps. That's all. First step is what? Take your own class. Inherit the exception handling qualities from where? Base exception. Are you getting my point? So, 2 things are there. You must save it on some file name with an extension called what? .py. So, if I come to my steps here, choose, what should I do? Choose the programmer defined class. Choose the programmer defined class. What is the class? You don't worry. Because already we understand that any exception comes, we need to create an object. That object need what? Exception class. That exception class purpose I am taking it. The programmer defined class. Second step. The programmer defined class must inherit from where? Must inherit from exception class. Exception or base exception class. Base exception class. Base exception class. For what? For inheriting exception handling properties. Exception handling properties. What are the exception handling properties here? For abnormal termination purpose, for coming out of the program flow, and next is what? To generate the messages. That properties are already defined in which place? Either exception or base exception. I will write it. Don't think that there is an English message. These are the classes. Inheriting from exception handling qualities That's why we need to write it, because the predefined facilities are provided. So my class also will be available where? As a part of the bottommost, as a part of the subclass. Under this login error, under that what error, pin error, like that my classes also will become. Are you getting my point? So go back to this place, and whatever the development you have done, we will save it. Save the program, on some file name, with an extension, dot py. What is this now? File name dot py. This is called what? Program development. How do you develop it? Now I am writing some example part here. Develop a programmer defined exception for, look at example number 1. I will write it. Develop a programmer defined exception for pin error in ATMs. So how do you develop now? Example number 1. Come on, fast. Pin error is called what? Exception. Exception need to create an object. Object need what? Exception class. Such class we are taking. What is that now? Pin error of what? Exception. And I say just a pass. Nothing to worry about it. And next I'll take one more kind of thing. What are the step numbers here? Step number 1 is called a pin error. Step number 2 is called what? Exception class. Next I'm going to take up step number 2. Step number 2 I'm taking. So here, develop programmer defined exception for what? Insufficient funds in ATMs, in accounts. How do you develop it? How do you check it? Very soon we'll go for that explanation. What is this now? Insufficient fund. So insufficient fund error. In the bracket what? Base exception. So I'll go for the steps here called what? Number 1, and second is called number 2 here. Like this we can go for developing it. I hope these steps are clear for you. Are you okay, students? Now, online students, I'll go for the example part. Is it clear for you, students? So my classes, here I will write it. What is this now? Here, pin error, and next is called what? Insufficient fund errors, or comes under what? Programmer defined exceptions. How to use them we are going to discuss. Programmer defined exceptions. Now very shortly we are going to discuss the concept. Now this part we are going to enter. This is comes under what? Programmer, also called as user. Very important, students. And next is what? User defined exceptions. Okay, now so let's go for entering into the further. Now I'll save this part. Now I will move to further. Which keyword is now related to this I need to discuss? I will go for, before going to write the examples further, I will save this now. I am going to introduce very shortly raise keyword also. I will use it, so that raise keyword will come now. Raise keyword. Now open the notes, all of you. Now I'll go for the examples. During the example discussion, I will use the raise keyword. Write down. Develop a programmer defined exception class. 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 For develop a programmer defined exception class for handling with zero division error for handling with a zero division error. In the bracket, division by zero problems. Division by zero problems. Right. You write in other way, ORR. Define a programmer defined exception. 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 And it should work like, zero division error. Zero division error. Zero division error. Important. Very, very important, students. So, coming to the point back, what do you mean by that kind of things? If you carefully watch it, go to the Python environment once. Go to your Python environment, Python 3.10, observe it. If we go to this place, A is equal to 10, careful, B is equal to 0, C is equal to A by B, I am writing. While this operation is applying the slash operation, what PVM will do? PVM will check the denominator value. That is, even in mathematics also, whenever you say 10 by 5, you'll say the answer called 2.0. Correct? That means numerator and denominator are non-zero values and operation can be successful. Operation can be successful. When I write a 10 by 0, is the PVM is able to perform this operation? No. Mathematically, you are going to write what? Infinity. Correct? Now, in the case of Python, even when you are writing like that, undefined points are not possible to give. Undefined means what? Infinity. Infinity means it cannot give the result. But such type of infinities are expressing in any language in the form of exceptions only. That's why when PVM is evaluating any division operations, first activity will be checked in the Python software. What will be the denominator value? What is the denominator in the first example here? Non-zero. Non-zero means result is coming. Possible to do it. When the denominator is 0, in the case of Python language or any language, the execution component will not run this exam, run that value, because it will be considered as which type of input? Invalid input will be considered. Invalid inputs are taken as what? Exceptions. Which type of exception is going to come? Which we discussed already. Zero division error is the name of the class or not? Whose object will be created by whom? Whose object created by whom? That means whenever the denominator is 0, PVM raises. Which exception? Zero division error. PVM raises zero division error. Are you able to get it? So once again, when the denominator is 0, implicitly PVM will create an object of what? That means internally which exception is raising? Zero division error. To raise this zero division error, internally which keyword is used? Raise keyword. Now see that now I am using here zero division error. Are you getting my point? Once again I will take it. A is equal to 1, 2, 3, A, B, C. Now I am trying to convert into integer type. Int of A. What is this A is called? String. I want to convert this data into which type? Integer type. Is it possible to convert? Not possible to convert. Immediately what is happening? PVM is able to convert or unable to convert? Unable to convert means what is happening? Exception is coming. Exception coming means what is supposed to create? Object. So exception is going to create an object with respect to the class called what? Value error. So creating an object is nothing but raising an exception. Creating an object is nothing but what? Raising an exception. Which exception is raising? Value error. So raising an exception is nothing but hitting an exception. Hit. Whenever you are unable to convert the value, which exception object is creating? Creating an object of exception is nothing but which keyword is using internally. So when the raise, what is the class name they are using? Value error. So see the answer now. So here I am going to say any sort of invalid input is coming, automatically exception will be raised by which keyword? Raise keyword. So raise which error? Raise which error here? Value error. So I am using some variable x. I am using some variable called x. Do you have any x variable so far here? No. Which error will be raised? Name error. Which error will be raised? Name error. A is equal to 10, B is equal to 20, C is equal to A plus I am writing. B I am not writing. Plus B I am not writing. Is it a syntax error or not? Which error is raised there? Like that. So final conclusion is, what I am trying to conclude is, whenever any type of invalid input is occurring, the first keyword is internally used by PVM for raising the exceptions is which keyword? Raise keyword. So tell me now, when the denominator is 0, what is raising? 0 division error. When the number is invalid format, which exception is raising? So in all those cases, which keyword is using? Raise keyword. So raise is a keyword used for which purpose? Hitting the exception. Spell out once. Hitting or generating the exception. Generating the exception. Once hitting or generating the exception is done, we are going to keep such exception in which blocks? Try and except block. And then later else will come. Later finally will come. What is the most important keyword implicitly taken first? Raise. Once it is raising the exception, we are handling that exception by writing what? Try and except. Later we will go for if no exception is there, else. Last is which keyword? So what is the order of the keywords? Raise, try, except, else, finally. So did you understand what is meant by raise? Yes. So when 9 o'clock is coming, this you are a human being. This is a human being. So human being, this is 9 o'clock. Class is listening. 9 o'clock is there. What is the in your body creating? What is the body in your? What is the raising in your body? General knowledge is not there. Nothing is there. Raise, hungry, right or not? Raise hungry. What is hungry here? Hungry is an exception. One class object is creating, and you are telling to your parents that feeling hungry. They will keep you under where? Try, and then accept, and they will give you the breakfast. And you will take the breakfast, and you will start reading the Python notes. Are you following that? So 1 o'clock, what is raising in your body? Hungry, right? Again. And evening, night also, hungry. Always hungry, not reading the notes. Right. So, what is that, Avinash? That middle part also looking like paste options are in laptop, sir. Okay, good. Now coming to the point of it. Vasudev, sleeping always, sir. Okay. You take care about those problems, but in Python you don't do that. Shall we start now? Right. After a few minutes, I'll go for it. Now I'll start our example. See the question once. What is how many keywords are there? 5. Spell out the keywords once. Raise, not, try, except, else. Finally, and when the exception birth start from which keyword? Raise keyword. Exception birth starts from raise. Once it is raised, what are you doing? Monitoring. Monitoring done by whom? Try. Processing done by whom? Exception. Right or not? If no exception occurring in try block, which block? Else block. After exceptions, whether it is there or not, what is the final block executing? Finally block. That is the order of that. After a few minutes, I'm going to say raise keyword. Are you using raise keyword now in this Python here? Are we using raise keyword in our example so far? No. What exception it is? Predefined. What exception it is? Predefined. What exception? These are all predefined. So predefined exceptions are implicitly raised by whom? PVM. So raise keyword used by PVM implicitly for generating which exceptions? Predefined. Programmer defined exceptions are coming. We are going to use explicitly. How to use it? When I do one example, it will be more clear. After giving the example, I'll come to this place. Okay, na? Already question is there. Now I'm going to develop it. What is my question here? I'll go to PyCharm. PyCharm I will do. Later I will come to that place. PyCharm I will take it. What is that once again? Develop the programmer defined exception, which works like what? Zero division error. Zero division error. That is our target. So close this project. Now I'm going to take it. So I'm going to take up here. So just I'm going to remove this. Now say here now. I'm going to take up now new project. I'm going to take it 7 a.m. exceptions. 7 a.m. exceptions. Now I'm going to take up a project is created. Within the project, we are going to create our own class name now. Look at that carefully. Now I'm going to say careful. What is this now? I'm going to take up here students. New and say Python file. What is this now? I'm going to take it kvr.py. Small example. First, very small example. We'll do multiple examples. Now, let's follow. What is my class? Come on. KVR division error. KVR division error. Of what I'm saying? Exception. Already done. Students, done. Now I'm going to give my file name is kvr.py. It is acting as what? File name and module name. Already you know that. KVR division error of exception and then say what? Pass. Done. Next I'm going to take up. One more kind of thing. File name and what name? Module name. I'm going to take up. This is, I'm keeping it here. If you want, I'm writing one small message. KVR division error. KVR division error is one of the programmer defined exception. Is one of the programmer defined exception. Programmer defined exception. Are you able to follow? Yes. Now I am going to take up, saved it. Now I will take one more example. This is one part of development. Like what? You take your style of Python people, PSF people. They developed the classes separately. I am also developing my own exception called what? KVR division error. Understand? Well, coming to this example, if you understand me, what is int of here? Int of is called one function or not? In that function, what are you passing? A is an argument or not? In that argument, what they are checking? Is this number contains any alphabets? Come on. When it is containing alphabets, will you convert into integer data? No, that means internally what exception they are raising? Value error. That means exceptions or development is one part. One more thing is called what? Exceptions are one part and next exception hitting is in another part. Exception hitting is in another part. We are going to see that. Name error, value error and next is called what? Syntax errors. We are going to see that. Coming to back, now I am going to take up here. Next, another type of class I am going to take it. Another development. Like that I am taking. Here I am going to write it. So something like KVR division I am writing. KVR div.py. It is called one more type of program I am taking, students. Be careful. My program name is that. What this program is doing? Program for calculating division of two numbers. Division of what? Two numbers with exception hitting. Two numbers with exception hitting, or otherwise after a few minutes you can understand. I will write it after 2 minutes. Now I will define one function, students. DEF, division. Division, I am going to write it. What is this division I am taking? A comma B, I am going to take it. A comma B, I am going to take it. What is this A comma B here? Arguments. That is a parameters coming from where? Main program. What I will do inside of it? C is equal to what I will do? A by B. And I will say return what I can say? C. Observe it now. When you are going to write A by B, internally what is happening? It is checking the denominator. What is the denominator value? May be 0, may not be 0. If it is not equal to 0, then it will be return the result. If the denominator is called what? 0, what will happen? Implicitly PVM uses which keyword? Raise keyword, and exception is going to be given back. Correct or not? Yes. But today our requirement is not to use what? Implicit predefined exception I don't want to use. From my side, I want to use my own raise. How do you do that? Check for denominator. What is the denominator here? B is equal to 0. I am checking my own logic. B is equal to 0. Are you getting? If denominator is 0, what should I do? Raise an exception. Which exception I will use? Raise. I am making the PVM to raise our own exception. Raise which exception? KVR division error. So I am going to take it. Already my class is developed. I am using that class here. I am using that class. It is called our programmer defined exception. It is called our programmer defined exception. Coming to the point back. If B is equal to 0, raise your own exception and you try to get it from there. From where? KVR. Come on, import. What is the class name? KVR division error. Are you able to follow? Right. So coming to the point of it. Okay, very good person. So let him listen like that. After a few minutes, he will be going to sleep state. So B is equal to 0. B is equal to 0. Raise what error? KVR division error. This is called what? Explicitly we are using which keyword? Raise, and we are saying this class name. Is the class name already developed or not? Exception development plus exception hitting. Right? What is this now? Program for calculating division of two numbers by hitting exception. By hitting exceptions, I am writing. By hitting exceptions, I am going to write it. KVR div.py. From KVR, import this one, division of it. B double equal to 0. Raise KVR division error. Are you able to follow? Yes. I will. Now coming to the point back. Here you come on to this area. Now here, students in online, are you okay? Else what should I do? C is equal to what? A by B. A by B. I can say here. What I will do next? Return of what? C. So this is called what? You know, this is called hitting the exception. Here this I will write the comment. Hitting the programmer defined exception. Hitting the programmer defined exception by using which keyword? Raise keyword. C is equal to A by B, return of C. This is called what? A function is defined. So, coming to the point of it here, division of what? A comma B. B is equal to 0. Raise of what? KVR division error. Raise of what? C is equal to A by B. Return what? C. Return of what? C. So coming to the point back, now I'm going to write it. From KVR, import what? Division error. Division of AB. B is equal to 0. Raise what? Division error. Else, I'll write C is equal to what? A by B. Are you able to get my points? Right. Similarly, I am going to conclude it. This is the program just hitting the exception. Now I want to handle the exception or not. I will write one more program. Two things are there. One is a development. One is a development. And one more is called what? Hitting. Three phases are there here. One, development of the exception. Second one is called what? Raising the exception. And the third one I will go for it, handling. In real time, this is a separate development. And hitting is separate development. Handling will be separate development. So let me go to the another part of it. Handling part I will take it. So let's go for KVR div demo. KVR div demo. I'm going to write it. .py. So this program obtains division of two numbers and handles the exception. Previous one is what? Hitting the exceptions. Previous one is hitting the exception. Now it is called what? Handling the exception. So there I am writing KVR div demo.py. Now, how do you write it now? I will say, I will call that function. Which function I will call? Division function I will call it. Into which place I will call? In somebody else place I will call. Division of, I'll pass some AB. What is this AB? Need to get the values from where? Keyboard. Need to get the values from keyboard. Moreover, division is a function present into which module? KVR div. It's the file name and module name. File name and module name. I will take this part. Now I am writing here. I say here. In this place, main program I will come. Here I will say import division. Import division. So I hope .py should not be there. You need to take like this. So you are supposed to get the A value. So read two values. Read two values for calculating division. How do you do that? A is equal to int of input of enter value of A. Enter value of A. It's number one. Next I am going to take it. Enter value of B I will take it. B I am taking it here. So I am going to call it as what? A comma B, calling the function. This is called what now? Function call. Function call I am going to say. Now this function you carefully follow. Division of AB, function call. This function call is containing one exception is there plus one result is there. So there is a chance of getting this place. Either this function call gives either result or exception. Either exception will come or result will come. Correct or not? Gives either result or exception. When exception comes, what you will do? Need to handle the exception and give which message? User friendly. Now you run this example. I'll say some C is equal to. Why C is equal to hold what? Result. Exception is purpose. I did not write any try and except block. You try to run this code once and see this now. Enter the value of A. Now I am saying 10. Next value is called what? 2. And who is entering these values now? End user. Come on, students. End user. If you don't understand, this much of deep discussion is of no meaning. End user will enter the data. In ATMs, end user will enter the data. Who will take? The main program will take it and passing the data to whom? Division function goes to where? Division function. What is the value of AB? 10 to, already it is there, 10 to. What is the value of this if condition? False. False na. Coming to where? Else part, calculating 10 by 2 and return what? C. To main program returning C value, right or not? Of course, I am not printing it. I am not printing it. If I want, I can print the result. Print of what? C. I can run it once again. You try to run it once again, students, and enter the same thing, 10 and 2. Result is called 5.0. That means function call gives a result. Function call gives what? A result. You try to run once again. I am giving the value called 100 and then say 0. Who is entering these values? End user. Who will take? Main program. My main program is this. It is accepting or not? Passing to whom? Division of AB. It is going to where? KVR DIV. What is the value of division here? 10, 100, 0. 0 is equal to 0. What is happening? Raising an exception. That exception, whoever is calling the function, to that place exception will be raising. To that place exception will be sending. When you raise it, it is sending to the place from where you are calling. Are you getting? So try to press enter key here. See the exception, what is coming. Read out, trace back. This whatever is coming earlier, same thing. KVR division error. Is it called a technical error message or not? And moreover, it is called what? A module name. Module name dot exception name. So what should I do now? What should I do now? If you are perfect student, I will write what here? Try. I will write try block. I need to handle it or not? Handle. How do you handle, student? Except. What is an error now? KVR division error. My class name I will bring it. My class name I will bring it as this. Without spelling mistakes, you write it. So I'm writing here KVR division error. Now I will say, I'll say, and I will import also from KVR, import KVR division error. Right, I will write the message here. Print of what? I am writing. What is the message I am writing? Don't enter 0 for denominator. Same. Don't enter 0 for denominator. Don't enter 0 for denominator. Are you able to follow? Now, I will write C is equal to, I wrote it. Else part also I will write it. What is the else part you see? Print of result I will keep it. Div of, I am writing div of, writing here is equal to like this. Format of what? A comma B comma C. Result this is. And since all keywords are there in my program, I will write what? Finally, I will write that I am from finally block. I am from finally block. Just actually in this case, finally block is not necessary to write it. Am I correct or not? No need to write any finally block. Now try to run this now. Overall picture. 100 and what? 20. Who is entering? Come on quickly. End user. Who will take? Main program. Passing to whom? Division function. Control goes to where? Division function. What is the value of A? Not talking, just watching like blind people, it's a problem. Deaf and dumb, lost. All of them not saying anything. What is the value of A? 100. What is the value of B? 20. 20 is equal to 20. False. False means coming to which part? Else part. 100 by 20. 100 by 20. 5. What is the value of C? Return 5. C return 5 in the form of variable called what? C. Where it is coming? It is coming to the place from where you are calling. What is the value of C now? 5. 5. Is there any exception occurring here? No. Straightforward coming to which block? else block, printing the result like this. After that, which block? Because this flow is important. Nobody knows about this exception handling in Python. Take any student and ask, they don't know anything about it. But even after coming to this class, sitting like statues by sleeping in the place last. So of course, I don't want to bother about it. If I go on highlighting now, you'll feel negative. Honestly, why should I make that? You're not a small kid now. Right? Take care. Now answer is what? 5.0. Whoever is listening, you listen and become a professional. Whoever is not interested, you sleep it. No problem. You go on joining the courses in Amirpet. Amirpet Institute people will get the money from you daily. So that is our problem. So coming to the point of it. Done. Once again you run it. Now I am going to say 100. And next is what? 0. Who will enter this? Who want the subject, you please spell out. Otherwise, other people just take rest. Who will enter? End user. Now, who will take main program? Passing to whom? Division. మీరు చెప్పమని నేను చెప్పేసుకుంటూ వెళ్ళిపోతా ఉంటాను. Division. Going to where? Division function. What the value of AB? 100, 0. 0 is equal to 0. True. Raising the exception. Once raising an exception, going to where? Function call, where it is called. What exception is raising now? KVR division error. Are you handling it? Yes. Handling the exception is nothing but what? Writing try block plus except block. Already written. In the except block I wrote. Handling exception is equal to try block plus what? Except block. Yes, written. C is equal to A by B, exception. Except whatever exception is raised, I am handling it. Don't enter 0 for denominator. After that, I am from which block? Now press enter key. See the message here. See the message here. Don't enter 0 for denominator. Don't enter 0 for denominator. Are you following? This is the subject of what? How to write my own exception. Earlier, we used to give in the form of what? 0 division error. Am I writing my own exception or not? That's great. So, coming to the point back, exception development, exception hitting, exception handling. 3 phases will be there. Exception development, exception hitting, exception handling. If you want to eat apple, apple production is required, apple selling is required, apple consuming is required. Apple development is nothing but what? Exception development. Apple production is nothing but what? Hitting the exception. Apple consuming is called what? Writing try and except block. Able to get it? Yes. So coming to the point back, next I am going to take it one more thing. Students in online are able to understand these 3 developments. Development of exception, hitting of exception, and handling of exception. Write down one more example. Write a Python program. Write a Python program. Write a Python program which will generate multiplication table for a given number. Multiplication table for a given number. Where n can be a positive number. Where n can be a positive number. Where n can be a positive number. Next line. If n is alphanumeric, or symbol or str, I'm giving total validation part now onwards. If n is alphanumeric or str or symbol, then what error? మీరు చెప్పకపోతే వేస్ట్ మీరంతా. Value error already studied. Value error. Then value error. You write, just it is for your understanding. Next line. If n is negative, if n is negative, if n is negative, then generate negative number error. Negative number error. That is our own exception. Value error is the predefined. Negative number error is our own exception. Are you following me? Next line. If a number is zero, if a number is zero, if number is zero, if number is zero, if number is zero, then generate what? Zero error. Zero error. Zero error is called what? Our own exception. What is the next? Previous one is what? Negative number error is our own exception, right or not? So totally how many programs will write? Exception development, exception hitting, exception handling. 3 things. I'll close this part. Now I will develop my own exceptions. Look at 3 developments. I'm going to do it. Careful students. Case number 2, second case. Come on now. What is this now? MUL exceptions dot py. MUL exceptions dot py. So I am writing here. I am writing there. Program for development of what here? Exceptions. Program for development of exceptions related to multiplication table. Multiplication table. How do you develop? Class. Come on, already finished. Negative number error. Negative number error of what? Exception. Of exception. Say what? Pass. Negative number error of what? Pass. Next time writing class zero error. Zero error of what? Base exception. Base exception. I am writing both of them at a time here. Base exception of what here? Pass. Pass. Are you able to follow? Negative number error exception and class 0 exception, base exception here. How many exceptions are there? 2 exceptions. I can write it for your understanding. Here, what errors these are? Negative number error, and next is called what? 0 error, or called what? Or called programmer defined exceptions. Programmer defined exceptions. Programmer defined exceptions we can call. Okay. Done. Now this is done. Done. Next I'm going for hitting. Hitting part I will take it. Hitting part. How to take care about the hitting? One more I will take it. What is that now? MUL table. MUL table dot py. MUL table dot py. Now I am taking. So there I am taking MUL table dot py. It's called what? File name and what? Module name. This program generates what? MUL table and hit exceptions. Hitting what? Exceptions. Hitting the exceptions. I am going to write it. Hitting the exceptions. I am going to write it. How do you write it now? DEF. What is my function name? Table of n. Table of n. Tell me, there are 3 things are there. N double equal to 0, one thing. I'll write it, pass. L if I will write it. L if I will write it. N less than 0, I will write one more kind of logic. I say pass here. Next time writing, else I am writing. Else means what? Multiplication table. If it is equal to 0, what should I do? Don't take much time, answer my question. Raise, very good. Raise. 0 error, that's all. I'm not going to take up 0 error. 0 error, I'm going to take it. What is 0 error? It won't understand. It is an error. So I need to take what? From which module? MUL exception. This is my module name, file name come module name. You know, this is file name and what? Module name. I say here from module exception, import. So 0 error, 0 error, 0 error. Are you following me? Okay. Next, that is over. If my number is not equal to 0, if the number is, for example, I'm telling 0 value, n is 0, 0 is equal to 0, raising this exception. If my number is negative, negative number is equal to 0, no. Coming to which? False. False means elif, next part. Negative number less than 0, negative number less than 0, less than 0, true. What should I do now? Raise negative number error, negative number error, negative number error. Done. I need to say this is negative number error from the same module name only. Done. Without doing programming, it will not understand 100%. Some of the people are seeing like a Greek and Latin 100%. They cannot understand out of order completely. Else means what? Multiplication table. Suppose if my number is 9, 9 is equal to 0, false. 9 less than 0, false. Coming to where? Else part. I will write the code for multiplication table. If the number is minus 9 is equal to 0, false. Minus 9 less than 0, true. What is coming? Raising the exception. If the number is called what? 0. 0 is equal to 0, true. True means what? Raise an exception. Raise 0 error. Are you following me? Right. Like that we need to take care. Now I am going to continue. Else. What should I do? Print off some small result I am taking into 50 or 40. Now I am saying print off. What is this now? Multiplication table. Multiplication table for what? Dot format of n. I am writing dot format of n. Now I am writing like this. Now I am saying for I in range of 1, 11. 1, 11. Print of what? Backslash t. Some symbol here is equal to some symbol there. Dot format of n comma n into I. This is a way of writing it. Now I wrote it. Done. This is called what? Logic development. So the table function either generates 0 error or generates what? Negative number error, or it gives result. Perfect coding. Now I'll go for the main program. I will write it. MUL exception, development of exception, hitting the exceptions. Now I'm going to enter into the main program. So MUL table demo is on another program. MUL table demo dot what? Py. Table demo dot py. So I'm going to take up. So this program, what is this? This program handles the exceptions. What are the exceptions which we are writing? We need to understand. Here I am going to write it. Tell me, what is my function I have to call? Table of some n. What is that n? I'll get it. I'm going to get it n here. So coming to the point back, n is equal to what? Int of input of enter value of n. Enter a value for generating what? Multiplication table. MUL table. Enter a value for generating what? Multiplication table. Table of n is called what? There is no such function. Need to import or not? This is called a main program, students. Main program. Tell me now, what should I do? From which one? MUL table. MUL table, it's a module. Import what? Table. Import table of. This table of n is going to give you exceptions. You try to run it once. Try to run this now once and then see. MUL table, you say 6, answer is coming. We have already seen in if conditions. When it goes to this place, it goes to table function. 6 is not equal to 0, false. 6 less than 0, false. Coming to else part and then displaying. Now next I'll go for what is the number I am entering? -4. See the exception. MUL exception dot what? Module name dot what? Negative number error. These are all comes under what? Which message? Technical error message. I'll say next you enter. You 0 you say. It is going to give you what? MUL exception 0 division error. 0 error. So to avoid all these things, I will write what, students? Try I am writing. Very simple. Take this. I am writing except what is this? 0 error. 0 error. I'll say here /T. I'll import it. Don't enter /T. Don't enter 04. Don't enter 04. What? MUL table. Don't enter 04 multiplication table. I will take that exception to import it also. Let me go for one more. What is the next one? Negative number error. I say what here? Print of what? Don't enter negative number for multiplication table. Don't enter negative number for multiplication table. Don't enter negative number. Negative number for what? Multiplication table. Next I will go for what, I say, and one more thing, okay, let it be. I will import that, right? So I'll import. From this multiple MUL exceptions, I'll import it. Developing my own exceptions. Something great. Run this code now. How it is processing, try to get this flow now. If you understand the flow, it's very important. -5, who will enter? Already told you, end user. Who will take it? Main program. Passing to whom? Table. Goes to where? Table function. Table function. What is the value of n? -5. -5 is equal to 0. Coming to else. -5 less than 0. Raise an exception. Once it is raising an exception, go to where? MUL table demo. It is coming to this place. Here, what exception is coming? Negative number. Is it matching with this? No. Is it matching with this? This is the message is coming. You press enter key. It is don't enter negative number for multiplication table. It's really great. Next you run once again. You say 0. Same to same process. What is that? 0 division error. And one more I will enter. You see, students, I already said you, alphanumeric, STRs and symbols. I am saying something like ABC. I am saying ABC. ABC nothing but line number 5 only, you are getting an exception. You will get value error. See that now? Value error is coming or not? So I have to keep this line also under which block? Try block. So I will write this under a try block. This line also will write under try block. I hope that you are following me. So what error I need to write? Except what? Value error. For value error, why I am not importing? Because this was already present in the Python software. No need to import it. Because these are my own exceptions. I am importing from my own places. So now I am telling now, don't enter /T. Don't enter STRs, symbols, and what? ALNUMs. ALNUMs. Are you able to follow? Right. So Tushara is asking, and Tushara should not ask the doubt at this moment because she should understand. You can also write if-else statement also. There only you can write what? Don't enter something like this. But what is happening when you go for if-else this statement, if-else statement? After this condition is true, it is executing other statements in the program or not? See that. If pin number is wrong, what is happening? It is showing other options also. So conditional statements is not the way here. What should I do? Once something is wrong, I need to completely stop the program. Correct or not? Yes. Are you following me? So Tushar, I hope you are understanding. So try to understand it carefully. So don't enter this values is coming like this and ALNUMs and symbols and etc. Now you run the code. Now see this now, getting this now. ABC, what is the message? Don't enter STR symbols and etc. Now you enter something, you say something like 45. 45 table is coming. Now you enter something else. I will say here something like -5. We are going to get what? Don't enter negative number or for multiplication table. You run once again. I am going to enter something like, -6. So you are going to get like this. You enter something like the value called what? 0 you say. And the value is coming. Don't enter 0 for denominator. Don't enter 0 for this. Are you getting? So here, how many developments? 3. Number 1, exception development. Number 2, exception hitting. Number 3, exception handling. So I'll post these examples to you students. And tomorrow class when I come back, raise keyword I will see. Raise keyword. Raise keyword, do you understand? So go to the raise keyword here. I'll take up exceptions here. Raise keyword also I will bring it. Raise keyword. So see this carefully, raise keyword. So under exceptions part, here I need to put it the raise keyword and carefully follow this and see. Read out now. Raise is a keyword used for hitting or raising or generating the exception provided by some condition must be satisfied. If denominator is 0, then only we can go for raising. Next, raise keyword always used inside of function definition only. Next, raise keyword use always inside of the function definition only. PVM uses raise keyword implicitly for hitting predefined exceptions. Implicitly, who will use it? PVM. For which exceptions? Whereas programmer makes the PVM to use raise keyword explicitly for hitting or generating programmer defined exceptions. If test condition, raise an exception. DEF, function name, list of formal parameters, condition is here. Here I wrote it from division, I just written like this. And Rahul is asking, can we write all of them in one program? That is not a industry recommendation. Industry recommendation, exception separate, exception hitting separate, exception handling is separate. When you go to nighttime journey in the buses, driver cabin is different, passenger cabin is different. If driver is also present in passengers and watching the TV along with the passengers, so problem will come. That's why, Rahul, I hope so. It is supposed to have, it is a recommendation to write what separately. If you write everything in one place also, no problem. That time, no import, nothing is required. I hope you are understanding. When you write everything in one place, no need to go for any imports. But it is not a recommendation. Python class, Java class, Oracle class, everything in one place, one class only. What will happen? 3 faculty started explaining. What will be the result at the end of the class? Total result is out or total result is correct? Total result is out. So that's why we are supposed to write these kind of things separately. Okay, I will upload these things, students. Tomorrow I will go for first 1 hour. I will go for ATM exception development. Tomorrow also will be continued. Programmer defined exceptions will be continued. Exercise started now. Tomorrow also will go for ATM exceptions with ATM. And at the last 1 hour, I'll introduce some new topic which is suitable to that 1 hour only. Don't miss tomorrow class. Okay, important. After these exceptions are over tomorrow, we'll go for tomorrow, day after tomorrow, files we will enter. Very important concept again. All important topics will come from now onwards. Right? Thank you. అర్థం కాలేదు. నేను చెప్తాను, నేను క్లాస్ లో చెప్తాను, మళ్ళీ వినాలి అర్థం. Students in online, any more doubts you have? So any doubts are there, you can raise it. So I'll clarify your doubts. No doubts, huh? So no more doubts. So I'll upload the notes. Try to practice it well. Vishnu Vardhan. Student name is Vishnu Vardhan. No more doubts. He also did not raise the hand. Vishnuvardhan is asking how many days it will take to complete the courses. Student, exactly it will take 1 month, 5 days. 1 month, 5 days it will take to complete the course. Okay? Vishnuvardhan. Exactly it will take 1 month, 5 days. So I'm uploading these notes, uploading the programs, program by program, not uploading everything at once. I'm uploading separately. Okay, students, now I uploaded everything. Try to download it and try to follow carefully. And today evening 6 p.m. There is a new class is starting 6 p.m. today. New batch is there. Any friends are there, you can intimate. Okay, students, thank you. I'll take it off. I'll sign off now.